Yay, we have a full house today. Super, super exciting. So, this is also going to be uploaded on the podcast. So, for everybody listening on the podcast, welcome to the You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. Today, we have a very special podcast slash Q&A. I'm going to be interviewing Angela. Angela is a fellow intuitive. Some of you may already know her. I think a lot of you already know her a little bit. And I'm going to be interviewing her and asking her a little bit about how she got into this world, the intuitive energy healer world, a little bit of her backstory. If I'm right, Angela is very much specialized in disconnecting and decording people from darker, heavier energies that include, correct me if I'm wrong, hard relationships, hard situations, circumstances. Sometimes we keep like a remnants of those situations and we can't fully disconnect from that. I know for a fact that I sometimes had that too, where I had like a tough friendship that didn't go as I wanted it to go. And that person kept sticking in my mind because I hadn't fully decorded from that person. And once you do, like it literally changes. And I literally had a thought about her today and I was like, oh, that's so crazy. I didn't even think about her in such a long time because I had disconnected from this friend. So, having said that, I'd like to welcome Angela on this Q&A, and I'm going to start just by asking for her to introduce herself a little bit and tell a little bit about her story and how she got into all of this.
Yeah,
Hi,
sure.
Angela.
Hi. Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. I think everybody can. Let's
Okay.
see.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to be here. And I got into this whole world about in 2016. My oldest daughter was seeing what she called shadow people in her bedroom at night, and I had no idea like what she was talking about. It kind of creeped me out. And then she started seeing angels and all these different entities. And that kind of just led me on this whole path because I was like, I need to know what's going on. And so shortly after that experience with her, I studied all different types of spiritual programs. I studied mysticism, shamanism. I went to a different intuitive slash energy healing school where they actually had a child's program as well. And so she was in the children's program. I was in the adult program. Um, but no one that I went to actually talked about like dark energy, like how to protect yourself from that. So as she and I were increasing our frequency, our consciousness, we were also getting energetically attacked and we had no idea what was going on. So I am so grateful I found this world of OWL and GLH and all of that, which I had originally started with Allie, as a lot of us have. So I took Allie's first 3 levels of intuition, then I found Al uh, over a year ago, and I've just been with him ever since.
Yeah, so just to clarify for the people that don't know much about this world, me and Angela are in the same intuitive school, I guess, spiritual school, energy healer schools. And we all know people through that school. And that's how we got into this line of work. And I feel like the same as Angela. Well, for me, at least, I was always searching for something. I've always felt very spiritual and wanted answers to certain things. So this is just like intuition is literally the greatest thing in energy healing. I've always been very much interested in it, but I never thought that we would be able to be trained to do things like that. So that's very cool. But Angela, what I'd really like to hear a little more about, because it's a bit of a like a touchy subject, right? Talking about shadow people and things like that and heavier energies. I know I'm sometimes a little hesitant still to talk about it with certain people while other people are still open to it. Um, what did you like? How did you know you were being attacked? And did you yourself have any experiences with heavier energies before your daughter started saying this stuff? Like, was there anything else that
Yeah.
already got you to start like thinking about this kind of things? Like, did you experience things like that? Did you think like maybe there's like, and also like, what did you think? Like, did you think about ghosts? Did you think about like just people sending you dark energy? Like, how did you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, as a child, I was really into scary movies. I was 7 and watching all of the horror films, and like, I just always had a fascination with it, which I'm sure my parents thought was odd. But, um, and then I remember playing with a Ouija board as a child and had some weird things
I did that
happen.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not good.
not a good idea.
No, not a good
No,
idea.
no.
And I had a lot of weird things like growing up. I would wake up and like I would basically like look at my sister and I'd be like, she's not my sister. She's not my sister. I would be in this weird
Right.
world and my parents were like, what is happening? Um, then I would do seances and like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was definitely playing around with energy I should not have. And then in college, there was like a group of us and we were all playing with a Ouija board, drinking, and it was just me and another girl like on the actual board, and we were like, we are not moving this thing, it's moving by itself. And then when we
I,
asked it,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I've had that too.
it's so creepy.
It's so
We
creepy.
asked it like, what do you want? The little token like flew off the board at me, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like everybody was done. We were just like, what was that? It was terrifying.
That
uh
is crazy. That is
yeah.
crazy. So, and when you were younger, did you have anything? So, for example, me, I know when I was younger, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I remember at like age 7, 8, I started really like becoming very aware of death and things like that. And I started really asking a lot of questions about life and death and what would happen. And I would have panic attacks in certain areas because I could probably feel a presence or something there. So I think we spoke about this. That's the rice field discussion
Yeah.
that I spoke to you about. So I think I had a memory or something happened there. I used to live abroad in the Philippines, and as a field trip, we went to rice fields. And I will never forget that because when that happened, I just full on, full blown had a complete panic attack there. And I was panicking, asking about death and things like that. I could never quite put my finger on it. And I know that I had friends that, for example, have seen auras when they were kids, or like your
Mhm.
daughter would see shadow figures. And even my partner would see stuff when he was younger. I never had that, but I could feel energies in places and could
Mhm.
never quite put my finger on it. So, do you have any memories of that when you were younger? Like things like that other than the Ouija board and other
Yeah.
than being interested in, because I was also interested in scary things, but I would never want to mess with it. Like it freaked me out too much. I already had certain intuitive hits as a child that, for example, I didn't like mirrors in the dark. I didn't like I was very affected by the story of the ring, so I put like a blanket over my TV screen.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
did you have anything like that? Did you see anything?
Yeah, I actually had some pretty crazy things happen as a child. I one time got completely pulled out of my bed by something and hit the ground. A lot of dark stuff. And then one night, like I didn't want to go to the bathroom because there were like little, I called them little elves on the floor. I don't know what they're probably aliens or something. I don't know. All kinds of weird stuff like that. Like my dolls, I was convinced my dolls were alive and like,
I had that too.
yeah. So a lot of creepy stuff like that. I not so much, I don't think I really dealt with ghosts so much, more just like creepy things, like dark. And then I also, my friend and I created this entity named Vane when we were a kid, and we would talk to it and we would ask, like, can we have a sleepover tonight? Will you help us have a sleepover? And like, obviously, we're probably talking to some dark entity. And we didn't know what we were doing though. So,
Oh my God.
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, you don't know. Like I also think back of like childhood stories where I had a friend who like this was also in the Philippines. I remember she would tell me like I don't know, like I would love to dive in and kind of figure out like so maybe we can do that one day, figure out what was going on there. She told me that like see I have this like I think I had a beauty spot on my hand, and she would tell me that by clicking that beauty spot I could speak to my cats. And she would speak to her cats, but she would tell me things like that she like the night before had gone through a portal and had slept with anacondas and things like that. Yeah, and she would tell me, like, and she even when we were playing on the playground, she would say, like, "Okay, now we're entering, like, a new," and I couldn't see it, maybe we were, I don't know, like, I don't know, but I was, kind of going along with it, like, part of me, like, believed it, part of me didn't. So, it's so funny how, like, when you're younger, right, you're a lot more, like, open to these things and these energies and less influenced and blocked.
Yep.
But I've have a lot of crazy stories like that. Even my cousin that walked down Amsterdam and he was a little kid and he was like and he said to his mom, "Hey mom, wasn't there a button store here before?" Like way back. And they looked and there was a button store like years and years ago, something like that. So it's really, really, really crazy. So
Yeah.
I know. So my audience is not that like I my friends and my family already know a little bit about what I do, but my audience is still getting to know, like, the darker energy side of things, and I think I touched upon it a little bit in real briefly when I was a guest on your podcast, and then in my more recent podcast, I think I spoke about how when we're talking about darker energies, it could even be, like, really subliminal things that are reprogramming our minds and belief systems and stuff like that. So, if you were to speak to someone that doesn't know much about heavier, darker energies, first of all, how would you explain it to someone who's like, "Okay, what are they talking about?" And second of all, how does that work? Because I know you have a couple of programs, you coach people how to be able to clear themselves of heavier, darker energies, and
Mhm.
you also help people disconnect from toxic relationships and situations. I know you have the what is it? The DBE? DBE? What is it? The
Oh, clean
baby
BDE. Mhm.
clean BDE, baby daddy energy, right? That one. And then you have
Mm,
the party girl detox, I believe.
yep.
And I just would love to know. And also then your negative
Full
energy
reclamation.
clearing. What's it called?
Yeah,
What's it called? The
full reclamation.
Yeah, soul reclamation, but also how to clear, like, heavier energies, right?
Oh,
Darker,
right,
heavier.
light it up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
light it up. So those are the programs that you have. So when you get someone who is, like, unsure about this world or hasn't heard much about this, how do you go about explaining it to them? Because I know, for example, I spoke to my neighbor. She is religious and believes in source, God, however you'd like to name it. But when I kind of touched upon there being potentially heavier energies, a lot of people believe it doesn't exist if you don't pay any attention to it or if you don't do anything with it. And then obviously, how do you go about it when people are like, this girl's crazy? Like, what is she talking about? How do you go about that? And especially if you get like new people coming into your programs or booking like soul reclamations with you, like how do you explain? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so I always kind of assess who I'm talking to first, if I even want to bring it up. Um, I can just kind of tell like where they're at on a consciousness scale, if they're going to understand or accept what I'm going to say, either now or later. So that's the first thing I do. And if typically people come to me, they've already heard me kind of talking about it on my podcast. So I don't really get too many people who are like, I've never heard of this before. But what I would say is, just like there's light in the world, there's dark. And
Mhm.
I compare the dark energies of the world like mosquitoes. They're just like annoying little things that want to suck your light and they have disconnected from the light, so they need to get light from something, which is us. So that's kind of like what I would say on a very basic level. Um, I don't know that I've had anyone tell me like that they don't believe. Again, I think because I'm only speaking usually to people who have already listened to me talk on my podcast or like in a program of mine. Um, I don't share a ton of it on Instagram, for example. So, yes. um, but
It It
what?
is a bit difficult, right, to
Yeah.
touch upon things like that. But then when you think about it, if you go to like the basic way of explaining it. So for example, in your clean BDE
Mhm.
program, there are some people that without knowing it, when you're like really upset with someone and without you knowing it, you're like saying things like, "Ugh, I wish they just blank,"
Hmm.
like something negative, right? I'm not gonna do that right now, but I wish they just did this. And even if it's just like a subconscious thought,
Hmm.
um, our words have power, right? So
Yeah.
they hold energy. So
Hmm.
without you knowing it, the you're actually like putting that energy on that person.
Yeah.
So how does that work? So explain a little
Mhm.
bit with the clean BDE energy. Like what do you do, for example, in those situations, or the party girl detox? Like what was the thought process behind those programs, and how could that help people like step
Yeah.
into their power more?
Yeah, so Clean BDE I created because I have three children from three different fathers. I've experienced a lot of like abuse in the past, which now I know was all just part of my soul plan, my reflections, all of that. So I created it for other moms to heal from that desire to put all the blame on the father, create this toxic relationship which doesn't benefit them, doesn't benefit the children, to really just become neutral. So that was my whole plan with Clean BDE, is become so neutral about him, so that you can be the best parent. So your energy isn't getting drained. So it starts with a lot of nervous system regulation. Then it goes to unconscious reprogramming. So, like healing childhood beliefs, all of that through rapid resolution therapy, which is like a
I've heard.
form of conversational hypnosis. Yeah. Um, then after I get them regulated and like uh, a lot of the unconscious reprogramming, then I introduced the energy component. So by this time, they trust me, they're feeling better. So I wouldn't just jump in with like with the dark force stuff. I usually
Yeah.
build a relationship first so they understand like I'm not just crazy or something. Um, but then I do explain like by posting about your ex on Facebook, for example. Oh, my ex is doing this, XYZ. You're actually creating a ritual. It's actually like when you're just saying it to someone else and you're complaining, it's kind of like an unconscious ritual. But once you put it into writing and other people can see it, that is a conscious ritual and there's repercussions for you and you're sending negative energy to them, right? So it's
Yeah.
like even at that level, that would be, you know, what we're talking about with like the darker, heavier energies. Um, a lot of times women will come to me from groups where they were encouraged to just label him as a narcissist. It's all his fault. Um, and like that does feel empowering maybe for a short amount of time. I call it like a sugar rush feeling
Yeah.
of like empowerment. And then you're like, well, I don't feel any better, and it's because you're just like directing so much negative energy towards him and you're not just um embodying your own power. So like that was the whole process behind Clean BDE. Um, and yeah, I had like amazing results with the women in there, and it was just beautiful. Developed friendships with people in there, and just it was the program I wanted when I was going through this stuff,
Yeah.
basically.
That's what we
Yeah,
all design, right? At the end of the
yeah,
day, because it's what we wish we had, and we know how to walk through all of that now. And so now, as by design, we
yeah,
get to help people with the things that we struggled with so much. But like, I love how you said that as well, because I was gonna ask about that as well. Like with this, because we're very quick to kind of like release emotions almost onto someone else, right? And kind of think like that's gonna fix the problem somehow.
mm,
Or give us that satisfaction. I know that as well. When I had an argument with my partner, like all you want to do is just scream and get that emotion out. But it's
yeah,
not, I mean, there's a benefit to getting the emotion out, but not when you're directing it maybe to someone else and you're not feeling empowered in yourself. So how would you explain to someone um with like putting that negativity out there, how that could actually negatively impact the person themselves? When you're saying like he's just a narcissist, he's this, he's that, he's that. Like how would that negatively impact yourself instead of the person that you're directing it towards?
yeah. So when you are, so there's several things. One, it's just like law of focus. You're really focused on they did this to me. Like whatever it is, you're going to start just calling in more of those people. You're not going to get to the root of the issue, the root of the reflection. So you're going to just keep seeing it. And this is what happened to me. I would be in a really toxic relationship. I would leave. I wouldn't heal what actually happened. And then the next relationship would be even worse. So it's just going to keep escalating. And you are actually also sending what's called like, can think of it like an energetic arrow when you're feeling angry towards someone, when you're like feeling jealous or whatever it is, you are sending an energetic arrow into their energy, and that does affect their energy. So we don't want to be directing dark energy at other people, right? So that's
No.
like part of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
did they answer?
so with the law of focus, that's like basically the like I think a lot of people like also when I mention it like compare it to the law of attraction a little bit. Like when you focus on something, the more you
Yeah.
focus on it, the bigger it becomes. So if you're constantly focusing on how someone is terrible and bad and not doing what you want them to do, then what's going to happen? You're going to get more of that. When you can
Yeah.
start seeing the good in the bad, then you start getting more of the good instead of the bad, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
what is it that there was one more thing that you said that I really liked as well. Yeah, so if you can if you keep exactly the reflection area of that, we touched upon that a little bit in some of my podcasts as well. Mainly with the body and a little bit now in your body's magic. I'm also diving into like how the rest of the universe is doing the same thing, where if you don't work through what the person is triggering you with, because there's a
Mhm.
trigger happening, and the reason you're triggered, right, is because there is an imbalance. So, and
Yeah.
if you don't work through that trigger fully, then what the universe is going to send you more triggers because it wants you to fix that. So basically, if you keep doing that, sending that negative energy that way, and you don't actually work through the root cause, you're going to get more of that negative energy. And that's
Yeah.
what you don't want, right? When you are already when you've been through difficult relationships already, you want to up level and get to a better relationship and get to a better life. And the only
Yeah.
way to do that is to stop spreading the negativity basically and
Yeah.
disconnecting from that negative
Yes.
energy.
Yeah.
So, can you explain a little bit with like people, how would you say that? Like we all know that the energy vampires, right?
Mhm.
The friends, the people, family that we know that like literally like hook and latch into you, and as soon as you try to get away from them, they come back. Like
Mhm.
how does that work? Cuz I know that's a little bit of what you do with the soul reclamation, right? You make sure that people are completely disconnected from
Yeah.
one another. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the soul reclamation sessions, I clear all the energetic arrows from the person, from my client, so that they're free and clear of all of that. I also clear them of hooks that are in them. So a lot of times, like even parents will hook into you. Like I
Yes.
know I hook my kids and I have to clear it because it's like you just want to control them. You just want, but I did have an ex who had hooks in me and I didn't realize it at the time. And I kept going back to him and I was like, why do I keep going back to him? Like he wasn't healthy for me. I would like get rashes every time I was around him. It was just like, but there was a hook. Now I know that. I didn't know that at the time. There's also negative emotional cords. And so those are like the cords that they're like a big umbilical cord basically. And you create these cords with your parents, oftentimes with romantic relationships, especially highly emotional, even friendships, children. We do not want to,
Clients.
yeah, clients. And we don't want these cords with anyone. So you actually give them pieces of your soul and then you take pieces of their soul. So in my soul reclamation, I'm basically disconnecting them, but also retrieving the soul pieces back, sending them to them, and then taking my clients' soul pieces back because you cannot fully heal on a physical level until you have all of your soul pieces back. So it's a really key thing, especially if you're trying to heal. If you have some kind of um, issue you're working on physically, you really need all of your soul pieces back to actually get a full healing. So my clients have had like amazing results from disconnecting, and they usually feel like quite a bit of energy because you're literally getting pieces of your soul back. you start to feel more like yourself. You start to make more higher self-aligned choices, all of that.
Yeah, I love that. And I actually, there's one question that came up for me with someone I was working with, which was a really good question if you think about it. And I'm going to let you explain that one. When someone chords in, right? We think sometimes when we are empathetic beings, which most people that I think we work with, because they would be attracted to us anyways, we're all like very empathetic and we want to help and we want to change lives, right? So I got this question recently, but isn't it good when you're being empathetic and you're helping someone to tap in and chord into that person's energy? We've been told, and I used to think that too, it was good to connect to that energy, to feel the feelings of the other person. So
Mhm.
why is that actually a bad thing?
Yeah, so that is one of the first things I do in a client session is I put up a gold wall and I set the intent that I will not court into them because we need to be completely neutral for many reasons. But if we're tapping into their emotions, their thoughts, we're not good. We're, first of all, we're not going to be able to give them a proper reading because we're going to be influenced by their emotions and thoughts.
I like
Um,
that.
and then yeah, you can form a chord, and then if you keep that chord, you're not doing each other any bit of service. So I always put up that gold wall. I check throughout the session that it's up, because we can still feel for them and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that sounds really tough," without getting emotional. Like,
Yeah,
I get emotional, I stay very neutral. Also because I see the perfection in everything, but not everybody, is
can
at that
can do
place
that.
yet.
No, 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 no. Yeah, I know for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a valuable one because I like what you said there that you couldn't even get a clear read because I didn't even think of it like that because when I was explaining it, I was just like, you just don't want to be giving away any
Yeah.
of your energy to someone else, even if you think that it's good. And when you clear the cord, you actually only clear the negative energy, right? You don't
Yeah.
take away any of the positivities. And it's difficult to think that because I know that also with my mom, I have the same thing. It's not coming from a negative place that that you're courting in, that you're both courting into each other, or that
Yeah.
she's hooking into you. It's more from like a place of wanting to keep you close or protection or, it's always like that can come from a good place, but that doesn't mean you want that energy
Yeah.
um in you basically. so so
No.
that's the crazy thing. And I actually had someone, I think that was a client I sent your way. He was saying that he had his mom was like hooking into him a lot and like out of a place of love, but of like, but I want to keep you close.
Yeah.
I don't want you
Exactly.
to go to do your own thing. And without them knowing it, they're actually like doing something that is negatively impacting the person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. So it's really good to be able to clear yourself of that energy. So, how would you say for people who um, want to be like, so my audience, right? I work to give you the ultimate glow up, to step into your goddess energy and not only physically transform, but as a result of physically transforming and vice versa, transforming energetically and really stepping into your power. How could clearing these energies and disconnecting from negativity, other than the obvious, like how would that help you truly step into your power and be the woman that you're meant to be in this life?
Yeah, great question. So, by disconnecting from all of these energies, which we also, I don't think I shared this, when we have a cord with someone, we are actually sharing emotions, we're sharing thoughts. So, all of their emotions and thoughts. And I've corded into actually by being curious about someone, I've corded into them into a dark person, which I wouldn't have consciously corded into, but because I was curious about them, then you start sharing emotions, thoughts. That can quickly get you off your soul pull. So for me, everything comes back to, am I in alignment with my soul pull? Because that's what I'm here to do. And if you're corded into a bunch of people, that's going to really confuse you, both from like a thought and an emotional standpoint. It could take you off path. It could make you more influenced by darker energies, all of that. So I basically just like when I'm working with someone, I feel like I'm just doing an energetic cleanse. like an energetic detox of other people's energy, so they can just be fully in their own energy and see their path ahead without the negative influence,
Without
basically.
being how would you say, like, yeah, negative influence. I was like their judgment being clouded or other, because we're taking on other people's thoughts. And especially if we're recorded in someone else, they could potentially hold us back from doing what we should be doing, which is
Yeah.
essentially your soul path, is what you're meant to be doing here in this life, is the power you're meant to be stepping into, which we all are. And I think that that's a very important thing to say, that without us knowing it, these heavier energies could be holding us back from tapping into our full power and our full potential, right?
Yeah.
And we can blame it on other external factors when in fact we have complete and full control of making sure that that stuff doesn't influence us anymore. And so that's really cool. It's also puts a lot of like it can put a lot of pressure on yourself that you have the full power. But when you look at it from the other perspective of being like, hey, I literally have the power to shift everything and change everything, which just changes your life in so many more ways than just one. And I wanted to ask you, Angela, like, what have you experienced after getting into this work and being able to disconnect from these energies and help others do that? Like, how has that impacted your life and changed your life?
Oh my gosh, so much. There's so many things I could say. I mean, just yesterday, as I shared with you, I had been trying to get a divorce for 3 years,
Yes.
and I
Amazing.
took so much time yesterday and the day before to get myself in the best possible alignment for a fast, easy divorce. I was in and out in under 20 minutes, and
Amazing.
I was like, yeah, it was pretty magical. So, I mean, that's just one of the things, but I just have clear thoughts, and I can tell when if I'm on social media and there's tons of contagions on there. So if I start thinking about something, I can immediately tell when I'm starting to go off track and then just like disconnect myself. So just having that feeling and repetition of like staying on path with my true self, my true path, is really empowering. Just I decided to take a break from dating 2 years ago and just focus on myself and my kids and my business. I've never done that before. I wouldn't have been able to make that decision without a clear, head. So there's just been so many amazing
Yeah,
things.
that's really, really cool. And yeah, I think it's very important that people are aware of this stuff, at least, that,
Mhm.
sometimes it's a lot of the time it's not even your own thoughts, it's not even your own beliefs that you're carrying around, and yet it's influencing your decisions.
Yeah.
So being able to differentiate between what is yours and what isn't yours, and being able to clear that energy makes such a big difference. Because even when it comes to, for example, what I coach on as well, and your body transforming, like limiting belief systems that have been brought down to you, and they keep getting reinforced if you keep connecting to that person, right? That's giving you those limiting belief systems. So, for example, your parents, a lot of the time, are giving you limited belief systems and you're making them your own. And when you can differentiate between what's yours and what's not, that really changes so many things. And that is like the crazy thing, is we're talking about like ghosts and darker energies, aliens, demons, things like that. To some people, it sounds absolutely insane. But when you
Yeah.
kind of like narrow it down to just someone sending you negative energy and things
Mhm.
like that, it becomes a little more palatable. And then you can start seeing like how it can be in so many other areas, right? And yeah, and then it becomes a little bit more like, oh, maybe that is possible, because you can't see everything. You can't see all energy unless
Yes.
you're fully clairvoyant, which I'm on a mission to become. I
Yeah.
know that you see things, right, Angela?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
cool, or also a little bit scary.
Yeah. I don't see things as clearly as my oldest daughter. She sees entities
Really?
as if they're just standing there as
Your
like a.
oldest daughter does. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, that is crazy. How does she
Yeah.
deal with that? How does she It must be really cool to have a mom who can help her with that.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of decided around age 14, she was like, I don't want to do this anymore, like shut it off. But
Yeah.
still, sometimes she'll see it. But she used to, when she was really into studying and like growing her intuition and all of that, she would just say, like, oh, mom, there's a ghost here. And she would like explain exactly what the woman was wearing. She would say, like, oh, she doesn't see us. She's in like a different dimension. She would just like explain the whole thing to me. So,
And what did
yeah.
you do? What did you do?
I was just like in awe because I couldn't see her, and
No.
yeah, so it was pretty
That's really
wild.
crazy. Well, I had my first, I think, well, maybe I've had it before, but I had because I was on a trip. My first experience opening my eyes, I was fully awake. I know that I was fully awake and I saw someone at the foot end of my bed. So that was fun. I was
Yeah,
like, yay. I was like,
yeah,
I don't like this. Like I'm doing all my tricks to get rid of it. I'm like, I don't even know what it is right now because I'm half asleep.
yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
I know. I'm like, why do they always come at night? Like that's what bothers
Yeah,
me.
why?
Just
Yeah,
come during
why does it have
the
to be
day.
scary?
Yeah.
And I even think about, like, back when my grandfather passed away, I was 10 years old. The thing is I've always believed in this stuff, and I remember, and I'm pretty sure I could probably go back now and intuitively maybe read what was going on there, but I went to his office and I remember, like, the lights really, like, flickering and there was wind and everything, and I was like, "Oh my god, I think he's here." You know what I mean? Like, and it's very
Yeah.
possible that he was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I
So
actually I forgot actually until you just said that. I had a similar thing with when my grandmother passed away. We were really close. And I was sitting one night out in the dining room crying. I was missing her. I was 12. And then all of a sudden I smelled her perfume and this curtain just like flew up. And I was
no.
the only one out there, but I was like, I just knew it was like her. It was very like within days of her like passing or something. So
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I've always been intrigued by all of this, and I just love diving into all of this information. So, is there anything else, Angela, before I ask everybody if they have any questions that they want to ask you? Is there anything else you want to share about your story and what you do?
um right now I have focused a lot in the past on just helping moms. I have broadened that out to like you sent a mail my way. So it is broader now.
I sent a mail your way. Here
Mail
you
mail.
go.
Oh my God. That sounded
I love
really
how
fun.
you said that.
Yeah, Owl told me he's
Send
like,
the
you need to
mails.
open up your base. Like, so
Yeah.
that sounded so funny. But yeah, so I help mothers, women, anybody who's having issues with I do a lot of work around people who find themselves in relationship patterns they don't want to be in anymore.
Mhm.
I do a lot of the soul reclamation sessions for people on anything from like parents, exes, even situations. I've done it on like near death experiences. I do have longer reads too, where I incorporate the timeline healings of like the past and the future, which I do on myself often.
Yeah.
Those are really fun. So I've been doing a lot of those sessions. Um, but yeah, I mean, I basically do anything, but obviously I have like a specialty around relationships.
Yeah,
So
and that's the interesting thing because I do a lot of the same things that Angela does in certain areas, but mine is focused on specific areas and hers are focused on and we all design it in our own way with our own tools. So it's very cool to see how we're all targeting different issues and things that we've obviously experienced. Like I've experienced these things and you've experienced I haven't experienced what you've experienced.
right.
So yeah, so, like, I don't have kids yet. I haven't thankfully had abusive relationships or difficult well, I've had difficult relationships, but not in that way. So, it's that will give you, like, a different way of approaching these things and connecting with people, and obviously also all of the other, courses and expertise that you have in those areas. So that's really cool. And also it's really good for people to understand that you can also disconnect. That's why the party girl detox, I really like that because we think, okay, that's something that's happened in the past, but maybe
Mhm.
you've still got some energies from that past that you can't let go of. Like
Yeah.
even people that struggle, like if you're trying to achieve something in your life, if that is a dream body, dream life, more success, and you've struggled with addiction, for example, in the past, and I have some people in my circle that have that struggle, um, that could be due to darker energies that are still latching onto you. And if you can get rid of those energies, that will make it a lot easier for you to step into your power. So
Yeah.
that's really cool, and I really like what you're doing there. So, if it's all right with you, Angela, let's see if anybody has any questions. Feel
Yeah.
free to turn on your camera if you want. You can do it in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with. And if anybody's ready or has any questions, you can start now. Let's see if anybody comes up. No one so far. Oh, there's one. I love the party. This is Leanne. I love the name Party Girl Detox. How do you begin to differentiate between thoughts and energy that are yours and those that are not?
Yeah, thank you. I love that name too. It just like came to me in a funny way. But how to begin to differentiate between thoughts and energy. So there are a lot of energetic techniques that I can do for my clients, and some of my clients I'll actually teach them how to do. There's very simple ones with the thought and energy, to make sure that they're your thoughts and they're your energy. So in the Party Girl Detox, I actually do a cord cutting from someone, like let's say you had a traumatic experience or just an experience you regretted, like you went home with someone you wish you wouldn't have, or like something like that. I do that, but then I also do a past timeline healing on that
Oh, I love that.
time as well. Yeah,
Didn't
so it's
even
like
think, see, I didn't even think of that. I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I attack it from all angles. And so when you start getting your energy pieces back, you start to notice. It's hard to explain like how I noticed, but like um you just feel more aligned, and there's certain questions that you can ask intuitively, like if they're your thoughts, or you could simply just say like these thoughts are mine, and like you might get a yes or a no. Um but it just is almost like as you get your energy pieces back, you just start to notice like what are your thoughts, what are not. If that makes sense, let me know if I didn't answer that.
I do remember a technique to do it quickly. It's where you tap on the heart 3 times, right? And you
Mhm.
say, "These thoughts are my own, these thoughts are my own, these thoughts are my own," and if they
Yes.
disappear, they are not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the, I think we learned that in level,
level
I can't remember.
1. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's
level one,
level
I
1.
think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one.
If you can't let go of a way overdue toxic relationship, is it always because of cords and hooks and dark energies? I like that. That's a good question, Kit.
Yes, good question. Absolutely, because of cords and hooks. I mean, those are technically considered dark energy, but it's not like a dark energy being. It's just, yes, there's cords and hooks that need to be disconnected. Um, that is a big sign for me, is if someone still thinks about a relationship from 15 years ago, even if it wasn't like they don't want to be with that person, but it's still very much on their mind. They keep having like flashes of memories. That's a big sign that there's just a cord there and that you need to have that disconnected. So yeah.
And that can be misconstrued as we're meant to be or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I
Yeah,
just thought
that's
of that.
yeah.
I was like, I know when you think I've had that very much like this toxic like connection to someone where I was like, I think this is my soulmate, when in fact it was just like being hooked into someone or
Yeah,
accorded into someone and then misconstruing that or them doing that to you even, which makes
exactly.
you feel like you're meant to be together
Right.
energetically when that's not the case.
Yeah, and then you'll notice like if you get the cord cut and the hooks taken out, and then you're like, I
Free.
also in a final step where I make it so that they can't cord back into you and you won't cord back into them.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, you'll notice the difference. You'll be like, ew, like I don't even want to think
Yeah,
about that anymore.
exactly. But we know that feeling, right? Where you're like, why
Yeah.
was I so into this person? Like,
Yeah.
for what reason? But when
Yeah.
you're in the thick of it, like you don't know, or you're just so like almost like hypnotized, right? By the situation. Ooh,
Yeah.
sorry. Anyone else have any questions, guys, about this, about anything else? Oh, no more questions. Maybe they're coming in. Is there anything you want to add anymore, Angela? Anything that you think would be helpful for people to know about any of this? Like, what is your favorite part of the work that you do?
My favorite part is definitely like the energy work, whether it's helping someone clear dark energies. So a lot of times dark energies can make you think dark thoughts. They can make you crave certain things. Like, and then when you find out that's not actually you, it's not like you don't have an issue, it's this dark entity. And when it's gone, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so clear now. Um, so those are my favorite things. And then all the, unhooking, the timeline healings, all of that. So
Okay, we're getting some questions in as you're saying, but I want to just touch upon that as well. Yeah, it's really cool because even if you're like trying to get into fitness and things like that, right? Like that's why it
Mhm.
also intrigues me very much. Like if you're craving sweets all the time and that's not even your own energy that's craving it, but yes,
Yeah.
there's obviously a reflective part of why that's happening, but then that darker entity or darker energy will make that worse. So when you remove that darker energy, it will make it easier for you to disconnect from that craving or things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got another one from Kit. Could it also has something to do with soul contracts? Are the hooks and the cords part of that? Very
Um,
good question.
no, yeah, good question. So
Yes.
we have something called like soul connection cords. Those are somewhere else. We keep those. We do not touch those. Um, we clear up. We should never have any hooks or cords, the emotional cords with anyone. If it's a
No.
soul contract, that would be something different. So if you feel like you're being called to someone from the past and you're not sure if it's a soul contract, I would definitely recommend like clearing the cords and hooks from that person. And then, we could always look in intuitively and see, is it a soul contract? Is it something else? But there are soul contracts. Maybe you mean this. Like I had a soul contract to be with my ex who was abusive. That was very much part of my soul contract to have a son with him, to experience these things, and then to move on, to finally stand up for myself, which is like the law of opposing forces. You finally stand up for yourself, then you kind of like shut down that old pattern. So there are soul contracts like that where it's very much part of who you were supposed to be with at that time. So
I love what you're saying there because that just made something come up for me as well, which I think is very important for people to understand. And it's something that some people can grasp and others can't. These difficult situations, the things that you've been through, Angela, are not easy. They're difficult. Most people wish they didn't have to go through all of that, right?
mhm.
But when you start looking at it from how this has allowed you to grow and become a stronger person,
Yeah.
like, it's a hard question to ask, but even I had this with my partner because he had a very difficult childhood and a friend of mine also. And if you can look at it and see how it's actually perfect that all of that stuff has happened to you. And in fact, if you want to go and take it to past life situations, the
Mhm.
people that are your worst enemies in this life could have actually been like the greatest love of your life or the people that you loved most in a previous life. And
Yeah.
I can let you explain, Angela, like, why would that be?
Yeah, because only someone who loves you so much would actually sign up to hurt you, to have to live with themselves for treating you a certain way. So, one of my exes, he has to live forever knowing he physically hurt me several times. And like, he would only do that. I know some of our past lives. So like,
So
I can just see it on a soul level how much he loves me, but I would never like that doesn't mean I want to go be friends with him in this life. It's just we're neutral. We're totally fine. Like if I see him, I give him a hug. I've totally
which
neutralized
is
it.
amazing that you can do that
Yeah.
after all of that,
Yeah.
by the way. Yeah,
Thank
like and that's very empowering, I think, and also but why would someone that loves you so much in a past life wanna do that to you?
Yeah, because they know you need that lesson. So before
Yeah.
you come into this life, you sit and you say, okay, I need to learn this. Will you do that? Will you play this role for me, basically? And only someone that loves you is going to
Sacrifice
have to
themselves.
suffer. Like he's going to have to, he doesn't have to suffer, but he signed up to suffer with that, knowing he did those things. And only
Yeah.
someone that really loves you would sign up for that. So,
Which is very hard for some people to grasp and understand. Okay,
yeah.
so we have a question from Cassie. So as a clean BDE alum, oh, I
Oh, thank
completely, yes, Cassie,
you.
completely shifted my relationship with my ex to one that is very positive. I know this because Cassie's in my membership and it's incredible. To one that is very positive for co-parenting, which is a huge miracle. Thanks, Angela. Lately, we are having an issue with a big disagreement over how he chose to bring his new girlfriend into my kids' lives. Ooh, fun. How can I get to feeling good with our co-parenting when I disagree with his approach and how it's affecting our kids?
Okay, good question. So I would start with neutralizing, which I know is always hard to do, especially when there's kids involved. And I've been there before where my ex would bring all these girls around my child. Um, so you could start looking at, like, let's say there's like 5 negative reasons why he should not be bringing her around your kids. If it were me, I would sit down and I would come up with, like 7 reasons why it's a positive thing. And that can take some like creativity because it's not a super easy thing to do. Um, I would also look at, let me just see. I would also look at how this could actually help your relationship. So if you were able to see it as perfect, to neutralize it, maybe this is just a reflection that you could help clear once you become neutral to it. So it might be like, a high level reflection for you to neutralize, and then you'll have growth from it. Your kids will have growth from it. Your guys' relationship will have growth from it. So I would say, like, the first thing to do is just to see it as perfect, even though I know that's hard. I know it's really hard to do. Um, and list out, like, even if you can just list out like 3 reasons why it's a positive thing for you or him. Like maybe it'll make him happier, maybe that means he'll make more money, maybe that means he'll give you more money, maybe
Oh, I like that.
like just try to be creative. And like that's how I do it when it's something um like yesterday during my divorce thing, I was telling myself, okay, what could go wrong here? Here's all the things that could go wrong. Why would those things going wrong actually be perfect? And it takes some creativity, but that's what I would do to get back to a neutral. You don't have to feel good about the situation that he's bringing like the girl around, but you could try to I mean, you might be like, oh yeah, that's going to make him happier. He's going to maybe let you have the kids more. He's going to go on trips. You're going to get the kids more. Like just trying to think of
The
positive ways
positives.
to neutralize it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
hope that helps.
yeah, it's sometimes the thing is with these things, like, it's like sometimes annoying advice, but
Yeah.
you know it's
I
gonna
know.
get
I
you.
know.
You know it's gonna get you where, because I know that feeling is like, oh yeah, I know I need to do that, but I don't feel like doing that right now, and then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, I get it. I need to do that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
So one question actually, because I work with people, with women who want to achieve their dream bodies and also achieve their dream life, like from the perspective of a parent. um what would you tell women with kids, like, how to start prioritizing themselves and stepping into their power? Like, what has been a major game changer for you to be able to grow your business and do what you want to do and take care of your body, take care of yourself?
Mhm.
How have you been able to do that and be the best mom, or as a result, be the best
Yeah.
mom that you can be?
Yeah,
Thank
great
you,
question.
Jade.
Oh, I like one of the first things I say when I wake up is like, I come first. And I just say that all day.
Like,
And I already connect it to by putting myself first, my kids will benefit. So I get up, I do my own thing. If they bother me, oh, mommy's doing her stuff right now. So I'll be with you in a minute. And I just stick with the boundaries. I also my son knows he's 5, but I give him 37 minutes every day of undivided attention. So he'll ask me, Mom, when can we do 37 minutes? And I'll
that's
just
so
say, oh, we're
cute.
gonna do it this afternoon.
That's so cute. Yeah.
And then I always say, like, mommy's going to the gym. And it's like kids learn by watching us, not by what we tell them to do. And I've managed to maintain a really great relationship with my 20-year-old who can literally call me and tell me anything. And I do not judge her. Sometimes I'm tempted to say something motherly, but I ask myself, I just kind of pause before I say anything like negative to my children when I can. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but she called out sick the other day because she'd been up late with her boyfriend. And the mother in me wanted to say, like, we shouldn't call out sick, but I just said, okay, well, I hope you feel better. And then she ended up, her work told her that if she ever calls out sick, she can't come back for like 2 days because it's a food service place. So now
Hmm.
I'm never calling out sick again because she likes having the money. So she like learned her own lesson. So it's just finding that balance between we don't have to like tell them what to do all the time. It's better for us to put ourselves first and then they can watch what we're doing. I have a very set kind of like schedule. They know in the mornings I do energy work, I do client calls. They do test my boundaries sometimes, but then I know it's a reflection for me. So
Yeah, but what I think is so cool, Angela, as well, like you're just so confident in that. Like you've literally like almost trained them to know, like this is now mommy time, and after like, and then I have the 37 minutes for you. Do you ever feel like, for also, I just want to add on for the people who are either rewatching this or listening to this, you would never be able to guess that Angela has a 20-year-old daughter. Like it's actually insane. So,
oh,
I mean, it's yes, I feel like it should be said. Um and
yeah,
what else I would say with that is because I know that I have my dogs. I mean, I even feel it with my dogs. I can only imagine you feeling it with your kids. And I know that for a fact with my members and clients that I work with, that a lot of the time they feel like they don't have time because
yeah,
of their kids. Um,
yeah.
how have you shifted that? How do you feel like you're not neglecting them and
Mm,
you're actually being there for them more? And then I have one more last question from Jade so that we won't keep you too long.
sure.
I just wanted to ask that
Um,
one question.
yeah, so I like in the mornings, after my energy work or when they first wake up, I'll like devote some cuddle time to them. So we usually like all cuddle and tickle and like say
Cute.
good morning. And I'm always really happy when they wake up. I'm like, oh my gosh, good morning. Like I'm super excited to see them. And that kind of like, I feel like shows them how important they are to me. And then I'll be like, okay, mommy has to go do her stuff. And then they know like once I get my stuff done in the morning, then in the afternoon, evening, they have my attention, and usually they're in school, so it's not as difficult, but during the summer they're all here at home with me. So
Yeah, but did you ever do you ever feel like they feel like neglected when you're putting yourself first?
sometimes they might say my son reflects me. So if he says like, "Mommy, why do you not like me? Why do you not want to spend time with me?" I just say, I love you, and I can't wait to spend time with you during 37 minutes in an hour or something. And I know also it's a reflection for me that I'm being hard on myself. So.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we have two more questions. Yeah, so Jade is asking Angela regarding putting self first and balancing motherhood, business, and all other areas of life. How would you implement this with a baby?
Mm, yeah. So I would say, obviously because babies aren't going to understand, like, oh, we're going to do 37 minutes later. So,
Maybe on a subconscious
yeah.
level.
Maybe. So I would say like trying to figure out a schedule around like if it were me, I would like try to figure a schedule around nap time, really maximize the time that they're sleeping. But then also you could even um like if they're needing you, you could even say like mommy needs 5 seconds. Like even just doing it for 5 seconds will put that in your creator field that you come first.
Yeah.
And then other opportunities could come in to where that 5 seconds grows and then you'll have more time. So I would say even if you can only do it for 5 seconds, like take 5 seconds, take a drink of water. Mommy needs some water. Mommy needs this, and then I'll be right with you. That's how I would do it. So
Yeah. Here again, also because babies need your attention every moment of the day. I've been doing the me first. I drink some tea and then pick you up, etc. But yeah, so yeah, how would you say that applies? Because I mean, I can't speak because I haven't had a baby yet, but I do wonder, like, how much of the time does the baby need your attention at every moment, and how much of the time is it you're feeling like they need your attention every moment?
yeah, yeah, that's a good thing to intuit like how much could your baby like I don't know how old your baby is, but mine sometimes I would put in the little playpen and just kind of let them play, or I'd put them in their walker, like trying to intuit a few things that they could do that would give you a little bit of time. I would try to just like, yeah, just get creative with that if that makes sense because yeah, you definitely still need like your time too, but I know it's more challenging with a baby for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I can only imagine. I think what Kit had asked was the 37 minutes. I think it's answered. Kit, is that clear for you? I think the 37 minutes is the undivided attention. So that they yes, okay, awesome. So that's clear. Okay, guys, is there any more last minute questions? Because I know Angela has to get to another call as well. If not, then we're gonna finish it off. Do you have any last remarks you want to add, Angela? I'm gonna add all her links in the show notes on the podcast because I'm gonna be uploading this. I'm just wondering if I'm gonna see if I'm gonna upload the entire thing with the entire Q&A. I might be doing that, and then I'll be adding in all of your links so that people can find you to work with you. And this is gonna be the exception because normally the Q&A for people that are not in the membership will not be available after 1 week, but I think this might be the exception because it's going to be a podcast. And I don't know if Angela might be also sharing it on her podcast
Yeah.
as well. So you can find it there with all the links. So with that, thank you, Angela, so much for joining us. Is there anything last thing that you want to add before we close
Oh,
off?
thank you so much. This was really fun, and I loved the live component of it too, and having
Yeah,
other people. And yeah, thank you so
I
much.
I think it adds really a lot of like good questions that people may have that I
Yeah.
might not come up with and it's just great because it helps people in the moment understand everything that you're doing. And you can find Angela also on social media on Instagram and reach out to her there and yeah, it's really really cool and I'm hoping to have more guests, intuitives and healers on the podcast in the Q&As every so often because I think we all have so many valuable stories to tell and things to share from different walks of life. So I'm really glad that me and Angela got to do this today. And I love your input and your insight in all of this stuff. And hopefully we can do a podcast or a Q&A sometime soon again and maybe dive a little deeper in some of the other stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Any
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being here. I will try to get this up. Well, I'll definitely have the recording up by tomorrow. So if you joined late or you weren't able to be here live, um, I will send out emails with the recording and it will also be on my podcast eventually. So thank you so much, everyone. And I hope to see you in 2 weeks when I have my next Q&A. Just bear in mind, it's every 2 weeks on Tuesday, same time, same place. Okay, guys, thank you. Ciao.
Bye.